Jonah Platt, you wear many hats. We worked hard on that one, that line. But
What? I wear many hats?
yes, Jonah Platt, you wear many hats. You are an
Okay.
actor, a
The rhyme.
singer, a writer, a producer. You have your own podcast now. You're a Los Angeles boy,
That's right.
born
Born and
and
raised.
same here,
Oh,
same
right
here.
on.
Yeah.
We're
So
unicorns.
you know what? It doesn't happen often. But are you still in LA?
I sure am. Yeah.
Okay, same, same. Where'd you go to high school?
Harvard Westlake.
Nice. I was all the way out in Agora Hills.
Oh, where'd you go? Did you go to
Yeah.
Agoura or Oak
I
Park?
went to Agora. I went to Agora. Yep.
Yeah,
And then I went.
my best
Yeah.
friend grew up in Agoura, but he went
Who
to
is
Oak
it?
Park. It's,
No,
the Gabriel brothers, Jesse Gabriel and Oren Gabriel.
no, but I think you're probably younger than I am.
Jesse's older. He's in the California State Senate now.
Oh, that's
Pretty
incredible.
cool. Yeah, amazing.
And I interviewed your brother not that long ago, a couple of years ago, on a red carpet. Which what it was one of the movies that he was in. He is so lovely, also.
Hmm.
And you come from a family, you know, where it's just a long line of Hollywood.
Well, not really that long. I mean, it's my dad and then it's us.
That's a pretty long line,
Pretty
considered
short line.
short line, but also didn't just start with you guys. There's a lot of success in one place there.
Sure, sure.
Did you know you always wanted to get into it?
Yeah, I mean, it was what I was raised on. My parents, they bonded over their love of musical theater in college and the performing arts. And so that was imbued to me and all of my siblings. I have two sisters and two brothers, and everybody's a singer. Everybody was a performer. And I didn't quite know what I wanted to do in entertainment, which actually my career sort of reflects, but I knew I definitely wanted to do something in that space. It was all I ever loved to do. And it happened to be also kind of, the family business. It's what my dad was doing.
What did you learn from him growing up? Like, if there's any lessons that you took that have always stuck with you, what is there any sort of like any words of wisdom that you could now pass on to other people?
Well, the first one was to always give people a firm handshake and look them in the eye when you meet them. That was the first thing I remember learning
There's
from him.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than one of those like little
Oh,
soggy wet fish hand. It scares me. I actually feel
it's so
uncomfortable.
weird. Yeah. So that
Totally.
was number one. And, because I was always going to like premieres as a kid. We got to go to like the fun Disney premieres and stuff. And he would always be like, I'm going to introduce you to a lot of people. You need to look them in the eye, shake their hands, say nice to meet you, all that stuff.
Mm.
So that's no one. And then two, he's not really like, here's a piece of advice I'm going to give you that I'm going to say over and over and over out of context. It's much more so in a creative context that you might get nuggets that you would use over and over again. And so I can only really speak to those in terms of the projects he and I have worked on together, which has been much more so in my adult life. I know like when he's telling a story, he's always looking for what he calls the tree trunk of the story, and making sure that that's clear. Is the story the hero's story, or is it about him and his best friend, and the tree trunk is their relationship? And sometimes, we'll have stories that are muddy, where it seems the writers aren't clear. What journey am I on? Am I on this double journey, or am I on this one guy's? And making that decision should then allow everything else to click into place in pursuit of that specific journey. So that's something he said a lot. That's like the first thing that pops in my mind, is looking for that tree trunk and making sure it's clear and streamlined.
That is great advice. Do you have a first love when it comes to all of this, like the performance aspect of it, or the writing, or now being on camera and talking as a host?
Yeah, I just like making shit. I mean,
Right, creating,
yeah,
creating.
creating. So like, I'd say like my favorite thing I ever did was improv. And I directed a group, and we did hour-long improvised musicals. And so
Mm.
that sort of encompassed everything I like to do, where I was acting, I was writing on the fly, I was singing, it was musical theater, it was comedy, I was directing, I created the group. So that was like a perfect sort of encapsulation of me just like liking doing creative stuff.
And you're married to a dancer, which, by the way, like that is To me, that's one of those art forms that I wish I got into. And also, I love watching dancers, not just dancing, but how they move through life. It
Mm,
is so it's so sexy. There's something about dancers, they just move better. They carry themselves well. They
hmm.
like the way they approach things. It's so rhythmic all the time is what I notice, but I
Interesting.
imagine if I were a male, I would probably fall in love with a female dancer as well.
I definitely hit on a jackpot. That's for sure. When I meet other guys who have married dancers, I'm like, yeah, dude, we figured it out, fist
Right.
bump.
What is it? You were just drawn to that, right? I mean, the performance is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, she and I met doing a show together. So we met in a work environment where she was getting to see me as I am as an actor, and I was getting to see her as she is as a dancer and as a choreographer. She was the assistant choreographer. We met doing the musical Hair together at the Hollywood Bowl back in 2014.
Mm.
And just getting to see her in her element in that way, the way she was, not just as a dancer, which is gorgeous, but also the way that she taught people, especially like people who didn't know how to dance, was so charming. And she liked seeing me, not just how I was as an actor, but also, her experience with actors was that most of them were dumb. And she was like, oh, this guy like knows everybody else's lines and is like super prepared and also is thinking about like the business side of things and XYZ. So she was really impressed with that. And it was a nice opportunity to really see each other in those environments that you don't always get to see your partner in.
So how many years has it been now?
So we met 11 years ago. This will be our 9-year wedding anniversary this September.
Okay. We just
Yeah.
celebrated 12, my husband and I did. And
Hey, Mazal Tov.
I want to talk to you since this is, I've learned about you from your podcast, being Jewish.
Hmm.
We've had a really rough go lately as Jews.
You're telling me.
All four of my all my four of my grandparents were Holocaust survivors.
Wow.
And so I grew up with the stories and learning about it
Hmm.
from a very young age, probably even
Hmm.
too young, because some of the stories that we were told over the dinner table were like sort of inconceivable for me as a young person. But the fact that anti-Semitism is just so not even trying to be hidden is just so
No,
front
no.
and center. Like it makes me crazy.
Yeah.
And and really, in my opinion, it's just like we're such a small, impactful, wonderful group of people. Now, granted, this I'm speaking, on like in general, right?
Sure.
Everybody has people who are,
Jews can be
outliers.
assholes too.
Correct. But on the whole, the Jews I come in contact with, and I know my friends and people in my life who are Jewish just care so much about family and education and doing right by others and being good members of the community. And we have a really strong culture. I just
Yeah.
wish people could see the good in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, because ever since October 7th or whatever, and like everything that's going on in the Middle East, we're all just being clumped together. I don't know. I'm really curious to hear your thought on all of this.
Yeah. So, I mean, part of it is we are so minusculely small. And I think people underestimate how much of a factor that is. I mean, we are 2% of America and about 0.2% of the world. There's only 15 million Jews worldwide. And if you ask a non-Jew how many Jews there are, they might say 100 million. I don't know, because we have such an outsized presence in the culture. We're just talked about so much in a way that's much bigger than who we are. So because we're so small, the amount that people really know about Jews and have the opportunity to engage with and intersect with them is actually way smaller than we realize, especially people like you and me, born and raised in LA, which is, America's second biggest Jewish population center, one of the 3, 4 biggest in the world. But there are many places, the majority of the world not only has never met a Jew, but may never meet a Jew as long as they live.
Mm.
And so when you look at it from that standpoint, it's sort of not surprising that people know nothing about Jews. And then the only thing that they hear is the propaganda. which is, the apartheid, the genocide, the oppressor, colonizer, all that stuff. They hear that, they don't know any Jews. They've never been educated about Jews. There's no movies about like who Jews really are. All they know is like Seinfeld. That's as close as they can get. It's like bagels and lox Jews. So their only touch point is maybe they turn, and a lot of people don't care about this stuff, right? Like I have a job and I got to feed my kids and I got to go to Little League. And then I turn on the radio in my car for 5 minutes and I hear, the apartheid oppressors bombed another hospital today. And that's all I got. I'm like, wow, those guys suck. I guess they're bad.
You totally nailed
And
it.
that's my entire picture of what Jews are, is that 5-second snippet of propaganda that made its way onto that news station. And so that's a really tough battle that we're enmeshed in, which is, there's a lot of different things that can be done about it. But for me, the focus is, okay, not like, let's pour a bunch of money into fighting hate, because like the hate is here. The hate's always been here. It just sort of comes and goes and changes shape as that's what anti-Semitism does. People utilize it and make it sound like whatever a society hates the most, that's what the Jews become in that era. And right now, what do we hate the most in progressive society? We hate the rich, white, European imperialists. We hate what we are. We hate what America actually is, and we twist it and blame the Jews for it.
How do we? So if you're not spending millions of dollars trying to fight the fight, right? Then what do? We educate.
We educate and we take up space as Jews publicly and normalize being Jewish in a much more open, dignified, loud way, the way other ethnic and minority groups do, but that Jews are traditionally afraid to do, especially in America. I mean, American Jews, like their ethos generally is, apologize and ask permission first, and then maybe do something Jewish. The Israeli problem is the opposite, is they, bulldoze in, and then if they have to, they apologize.
Are you saying you're not aligned with that?
Well, I mean, I'm saying the sensibility of American Jews is ask permission. And I'm not aligned with that. We need to just be Jewish. And I just think it's funny, sort of the Israeli sensibility is like, I'm going to be exactly who I am. And if that bothers you, then I'll apologize later. We need each other a little bit. Like, we got to meet in the middle.
Meet in the middle. Everything is about meeting in the middle.
Moderation.
Correct. And like, I don't understand why. I mean, I do understand, because I know that when you have polarizing viewpoints, those are what you see because of the algorithm, because though that's what you're fed on social media. I get it. I get that Fox has to lean super left, Fox has to lean super right, and MSNBC has to lean super left. I'm in the new, like, I was born and raised in the news game. I'm a journalist. Like, that's what I get it. If it bleeds, it leads. I understand all that. I guess, and also why I thought you were super interesting to me is because you did speak out about the Rachel Ziegler thing as it pertained to Snow White, live action Snow White, which your dad was on. Here is my question about this. Mm-hmm. As a public figure, I grapple with this every day, thinking what is right and what isn't, okay? But Rachel Ziegler, as a public figure, spoke out about her pro-Palestinian views, which you were suggesting may have hurt the movie, right? Mm-hmm. Is that correct? I don't want to
not specifically those views. It was more general. What I think, and again, you could take this very generally. It's when you are a part of a commercial product in any way, and if the spotlight is being pointed on you specifically because of that commercial product, and you use that opportunity to introduce anything polarizing or politicizing, that can have a negative effect on your project. Because as like Michael Jordan famously said, Republicans buy sneakers too. And it's like, you want everybody buying your sneakers. And if you say, it didn't matter if she would have talked about Palestine or she talked about abortion rights or whatever it is, if you're going to, when the spotlight is on you, when you're talking about the movie, which was also the issue, it's not what you're doing on your own time. It's if you're in a place where you're like, hey, check out this new trailer we just dropped. And also, we should have abortion rights in all 50 states. You're ostracizing some of the potential audience from your product. And then you're affecting all the people who just wanted this thing to sell well. And now something that has nothing to do with the project is taking away potential audience from it.
So I couldn't agree with you more. Why I say I've grappled with this is because like I've been a lifelong fan of a certain musician, okay,
Mm-hmm.
who I've spent so much money seeing, traveling around the world for. I felt this is my hero. I've
Mm.
interviewed him. This was my truly my hero, and then he started making really polarizing comments that it felt like it was he was like standing on the soapbox saying like, you know, stop the genocide, stop the apartheid. I can't believe Israel's going in there, blah blah blah. A large portion of his fan base is Jewish,
Mm-hmm.
and many of us have stopped supporting him and stopped seeing him. And at first, when he said what he said, at all, oh, by the way, I should say this: you're not just saying, hey, like, let's be peaceful, like, let's come together and unite, and which is
Right.
what I think an artist should do. Like, leave your political, your religious, all your viewpoints aside. We're here for one love, which is the music. People are paying tons of money to go see him. What he did was alienate the audience by taking one side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which
Mm-hmm.
then also a lot of anti-Semitism spouted out because of that. And he, on top of that, he's a very large Jewish fan base, plus, plus, plus. So my point to you is it happened once, I let it go. It happened a couple times, I let it go. And then finally I said, I can't support this artist anymore. Fundamentally, I love different opinions. I believe that's what makes democracy. That's what makes the world go round, right? I
Mm-hmm.
am a firm believer you can still love somebody even if they don't believe in what you believe in. It's time and place that becomes problematic for me. And if you're in an interview and you're talking about it and I'm asking your opinions, go for it. You should be able to speak your opinions. It becomes an issue when your whole entire audience is now alienated, or a
Right.
portion of your audience is alienated because of what you're saying.
Yeah,
That,
there's two things in that. One is the problem with everybody having an opinion is, look, you have a journalism background, so you this maybe doesn't even cross your mind, but like a lot of people have opinions about stuff they know absolutely nothing about, and that's a major issue. Like
I
if
believe that. It's a lack of education. They
you
don't
know,
know.
total lack of education. So it's frustrating that people often feel the need to speak on things they have no depth of knowledge about, and speak, with a loud public platform on, while having no expertise, no real knowledge of the subject. That's just harmful, whatever it is. I said recently on my podcast, like my mantra is just, and if everybody did this, the world would be a better place. Before you post or say something, go, how much do I really know about this? And if the answer is not a lot, like we don't need you to say anything. So there's one. And then two is the problem with anti-Semitism today, anti-Jew bigotry, is that it's been cloaked in this social justice veil to the point where if you speak against Israel, you are, not only is it the right thing to do, but like it's righteous, it's
Oh,
just.
totally.
It's so like somebody who's a musician speaking out on it, it's like is doing so because everyone's gonna be like, good for you, man, like stick it to
Right.
the man kind of a thing, which is crazy because it just leads back to that issue of this person doesn't actually know what they're saying, where it comes from, what the effect is going to be. They're just doing the thing that they've very, shallowly been taught is righteous. And unfortunately it isn't. And, it's all coming from
And it's
terrorists.
it's also this idea of siding with the underdog.
Right.
People believe they're siding with the underdog and that Israel is this like big bad, bully or whatever and coming and stopping.
Mm-hmm.
But even on a more local level and how this impacts us as Jews, you're right. Artists say things and they're just like, like with a loudspeaker and nobody can even defend their point of view. So you're put, right? It's not a conversation.
No,
And that
it's
can be really harmful in its own right.
totally. I mean, I liken it to like setting a bag of dog shit on fire or leaving it on somebody's doorstep, ringing the doorbell and running away. That's what these anti-Israel folks get to do. It's like, I'm going to say words like genocide and apartheid and whatever, and that's it. And if you want to have a conversation and like fight back, you have to now speak 7 paragraphs to debunk in 10 different ways why what I said was incorrect. But I've already done the damage and I just called you these terrible words that I don't actually really know anything about and have never been there and could not speak to. and could make no argument against. But hey, I have no skin in the game, so what the hell?
So what is sort of an overarching, if you could, not a rule, but like if you were talking to an artist right now or somebody in the public eye who's got a big platform, what would you say in regards to sharing their beliefs about what, political, religious, these sorts of things? Is there like a steadfast rule? Is it kind of like you just have to play with it? Because Kehlani was on the red carpet recently and said, all I can say is free Palestine, right? I actually was less offended by that because, and that's her viewpoint, because she's on a red carpet and somebody's asking her about it. I feel like everybody's allowed to have their own opinions. I'm a little more like down the middle in that sense. I don't know. Tell me what you think.
I mean, again, I of course you're allowed to have your own opinion, but should you espouse that opinion publicly if it's based on something you heard somebody say one time and not based on, well-researched, deep knowledge and understanding and education because it's a subject you've really dug into? Like, it would be like me weighing in on, like planetary alignment or something. It's like, I don't know shit about that. Maybe I read an article one time and somebody wrote a tweet about it. Okay, that doesn't qualify me to speak about this. The example I gave on my podcast, we do this all the time, right? It's like, I'll say, hey, it's going to rain today. And you'll run into a friend later and they'll be like, oh yeah, it's going to rain today. But it's like, You don't know. You just heard me say it. You didn't look it up. You didn't even stick your head outside. Like, you have no idea if that's true or not. And there's all these cognitive biases that we fall into as humans that speak to that. We're too trusting. We say things that are like easily repeatable. There's like all these different things. But we do that kind of stuff all the time where we have no real understanding. So
yeah, I mean, that's why I stick to celebrity news.
Yeah, it's a little easier.
A little bit. I don't want to, but I do feel that there needs to be a voice for the Jewish community, and especially because just how bad it's gotten.
Yeah,
and
people are afraid.
One thing I'll say is I feel like, because also if I post anything about what's going on overseas, or my kind of support of everything, whatever, discussed with what happened on October 7th, and then support of the Jewish people, and I get really heinous messages on social media, and it's scary.
I totally get that. I mean, when the whole Snow White thing happened, I was inundated with hate from a certain community of people. And it's not fun, but for me personally, at least, it's funny, like the volume was so big that I was able to move past sort of the shock of it and began to view it from a almost scientific lens. I was like, what can this data tell me of like who these people are, what the messaging is that they're receiving? Because even though I got all these comments, they were basically the same like 5 comments.
Right, and it's always attacking you, right? Like the ad hominem, whatever. It's never like, well, let's discuss this. That's what I feel like. There's so much anger, and it's just so overwhelming for people to discuss, because you're saying, like, they're getting little pieces of information that aren't even necessarily true, and you don't have the whole story, the history. So they're just, they look at us as the big bad wolf, as Jews. Anyway.
Exactly.
And then you have somebody stupid like Kanye who's out there back and forth. Well, the latest thing you saw, of course, is that he's like, I'm not anti-Semitic anymore. And, did you see this one?
No, I didn't see that yet. I've been, pretending he doesn't exist. So I missed that.
I know. I saw that you had somebody on your show with the toilet paper, like the wipe Kanye out. Isn't that?
No, it was wipe Hitler out.
You said give it to him. Why? Excuse me. Well, they're basically interchangeable.
The modern day.
All that hatred. That's just mental illness. I'm convinced.
I mean, it's still harmful.
It is harmful. No, because I think he got a lot of people to follow him and start, like, it was odd how when he rose up with all this anti-Semitic rhetoric that people, I would look at the comment section and go like, this can't be real.
Yeah. A lot of people are like, call it out. I'm with you. And it normalizes it. And that's what's the really dangerous thing. It's like, if one of the biggest artists of his generation's talking about this, I guess it's okay for me to say it too.
who you're a diehard fan of. Like, that's the thing. They say
know.
never meet your heroes, you know? And then when your hero lets you down, it's like you reconsider everything.
Well, I don't know if they even thought about like that your hero would be a Nazi when they came up with that cliche. Like that's the pretty extreme example of that one.
Oh, yeah. Have you stopped following people? I'm not, by the way, I don't believe in cancel culture at all. I totally don't align with that. I think for people who are actually deserving of being canceled, this whole thing is diluted, like everybody getting canceled for nothing even. I don't believe in that. But
Right.
what I'm saying is there anyone you've stopped sort of following, or that you've had to say, okay, not in my wheelhouse anymore because of their comments?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like Kanye. I mean, I love Kanye's music. I can't say that I've gone to turn it on in my car anytime recently.
No, I've like
you
stopped
know,
listening.
which is a shame.
Because the music was so good. By the way, again, like, talk about biting the hand that feeds you. Like, so many of his supporters were like young Jewish suburban boys.
Sure, of course. And look,
You know?
I can separate the art from the artist in a lot of ways. Like I drive a Tesla, and I know some people think that's crazy. But I'm like, I love that car, and you know, if you hate Elon Musk, like he's not going to feel anything because I don't drive this car that I like, and I'm going to enjoy it. But Kanye is like a different one. I just like I can't bring myself to do it. I'm not interested in supporting it in that way. I couldn't do it. But like, you know,
As the kids are saying, it doesn't hit the same.
yeah, it doesn't hit the same. I couldn't enjoy it. And then, you know, I wouldn't say that there's anybody specifically that I was like shocked to find out that they were suddenly, you know, anti-Jewish or anti-Israel. It's more like I'm now at least aware of who those people are. And if I was going to maybe watch their TV show, I'm certainly not going to watch it now because I don't want to feel like I'm in, you know, hanging out with them and supporting what they're doing.
No, I can totally understand
know?
that. And that it's when I said I grapple with the idea of like, you know, what can people say? What shouldn't they say if they have a public forum? It is that. Can you separate the work from the, I mean, I can say something really controversial where people would really hate me, but I
Do
love
it.
Woody Allen. I love Woody Allen is my favorite filmmaker.
Well, there you
I
go.
mean,
I think that's a great
I'm
example.
obsessed. I've grown up on those movies, and it's literally, I mean, like if I want to relax, I'll have a glass of champagne, watch a Woody Allen movie. Cafe Society is my favorite movie. So that was a tough one too because it's all this bad press. But really, enough said.
Yeah,
Enough
I
said,
think
'cause I
that's
don't know
totally
what
fine.
happened.
I mean, the example I always give is like I still love Michael Jackson, and that guy was having sleepovers with little boys. And
Right, I know.
I
And that-
like his music. I don't have to hang out with him, but I dig the songs, and it's a case by case thing. It's not at the level for me where like maybe 10 years I'll listen to Kanye again. I don't know.
Are we going to see a Platt family project with all of you guys? Like just like bring in the whole family, mom and dad and brothers and sisters.
The only way you'll see that is if you are invited to a family wedding or bar mitzvah where such performances take place. But,
Like what?
Well,
Like people
I
get
mean,
up on the mic?
They call us the Von Platts because we all sing, and we all sing at people, you know, family members' events. There's like tradition that like all the cousins from both sides of my family sing at people's weddings and bar mitzvahs, and so my family always partakes in that.
And be honest now, okay? Because you are all performers and egos get in the way at times. Is it healthy competition, or is there ever a time when you're like, that sucks, I should have had that role?
Well, for better or worse, like, I mean, if you're talking about me and Ben, like, he and I are such different kinds of actors. Like, there's very few roles he and I would even both be up for. You know, he's just a different vibe than me, and I'm much older than him. So there's we've never really been in the same place at the same time, competing for the same thing.
So you cheer on his success.
Oh yeah, of course.
Are you guys close?
Yeah, I was with him yesterday. We you know, it's he lives in New York, I live in LA. I'm 7 years older. I have kids, he doesn't have kids. He just got married. I've been married almost a decade. So like we've always been in different life phases throughout our whole life, which is a challenge with any sort of sibling relationship, to not be in sync in that way. But so we have to, as adults, like, work on the relationship to stay close and find the way as adults that we're going to connect, because we were never in high school together. We were never in college together. We were never, like, we barely lived in the same city together for many years.
So if there wasn't that family connection, you might not find each other.
Exactly.
You know?
We might not even be in the same place.
Lastly, we're asking everybody who comes on the show, is there a job, a role, an opportunity that you almost had, but you didn't get?
That's like my career in a nutshell.
Okay. I feel very similar in that sense. Like, which one hurts or stands out the most to you that would have really changed the game for you, for better or worse?
I'm like trying to think, which one should I go with here? I've come in second place.
The one that's going to make news.
I've come in second place on so many projects. The first one that pops into my head is the show Reacher on Amazon.
Oh yeah.
I came in second
With Alan
place.
Richardson.
I came in second place for a series regular on season 2 of that show that I felt like I really crushed. And then there was one, I feel better about it now because this has also happened too. There's 2 that stick out to me, one on stage and one on TV, where I didn't get them and I felt like I should have, but then they didn't do that well and they ended very quickly. But it still would have been really fun. But there was a Hulu series. It's like The Murderer's Guide to Mayhem and Murder or something. Mystery Guide to I forget what the title was. It changed a bunch.
Okay.
But
But that's a good thing because I don't even know the name.
Yeah, exactly. And my audition for that was awesome. And they basically were like, well, you just don't look like it came down to family resemblance. I was like, all right. And
there's nothing you can do about that.
Nothing I can do about that. And then I got replaced in a Broadway musical. I did the last workshop before it went to Broadway. And then for whatever reason, they brought somebody else in to actually do the Broadway run.
Oh, that's pain. That's painful.
Which, thank God, like, I had made peace with it already. Like, I'd never assume at this point in my career that, like, anything is happening, because it usually doesn't. And you have to assume, like, you're going to get replaced, because most of the time you do. But so I loved the experience of the workshop so much, and, like, really loved getting to do that. So I made sure throughout it, I was like, even if this is the whole thing, like, make sure you're enjoying it and feeling proud of what you're doing here. And so then I did get replaced, and then it closed in like 3 months. And my wife was like, aren't you glad we didn't move to New York for a year for this?
Can I tell you how many times my husband said to me, oh, that show you wanted is still on the air? And I was like, no. So it's like, it happens that way. You think you have this idea. By the way, I would have loved to be in all of them too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. And you never know what's going to lead to something else. It's a paycheck for sure.
It's a paycheck. And you're working it exactly. And work breeds work. And you don't know who sees. But it all happens the way it's supposed to. I'm a firm believer.
I agree.
At that point for you, I'm calling Dad and saying, yo, get on the phone with your friends and make this happen. I mean, that's the one brilliant thing about all being in the same business. But I imagine that doesn't happen.
No,
often.
that doesn't happen because, look, well, for 2 reasons. Number one is, like, that's just so not my dad. In fact, he's the opposite. And I had to, like, really have a, like, strong talk with him in my 20s of, like, you're trying so hard not to be nepotistic in any way that you're being, like, actively the opposite. Like, you're a person I know in the business. Like, you have to use relationships, and, like, you're actively not being a relationship for me. I like, you can help me in some ways. And then the other part is like, if it's a high level project, like, I don't know, let's say it's the Wicked movie. It's like John Chu is not putting the producer's son in the Wicked movie and, like, mucking up the movie unless he's going to be awesome and is perfect for this part. Like, nobody's doing that. So
I will tell you though, my dad got me my first internship at the local KTTV here, which that started me. So that entrance, like, I felt very lucky about that because it really did grow from there. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think I'd be. Let me take that back. I would have found a different path because that's what we do, right? We're resilient,
right?
As Jews. And in general. But my point is, like, that definitely helped, at least to open that door.
Yeah, he's been helpful to me at certain sort of pivot points where if I'm able to be, like, really specific and sort of activate him in a way that I know he's comfortable with. And here, I'll give you a good example. So there was I read something in the trades. I was in my, like, mid-20s, that these writers were starting a new sitcom. And I knew my dad had worked with them. So this is the kind of thing I could ask him. I was like, can you see if they'll have coffee with me? And he was like, sure, I can make that phone call. So he called them, and they let me have coffee. And then when we were at coffee, they were super nice, and they were like, yeah, we're going to be starting up the show. Come by anytime. I was like, do you really mean that? Can I come by anytime? And they were like, yeah. So I just came every day like it was my job. And
What was it?
It was sadly a horrible TV show that did so poorly called Mr. Robinson with Craig Robinson on NBC.
Oh, I love
that they burned off 6 episodes in like 2 weeks in August to just
Wait,
like
that was how many years ago?
oh god, this was like 2014 or something.
Right. Not that long ago. I remember. Okay.
I mean, it's like 10 years ago.
Right.
But I just started going every single day until I sort of like proved myself. And then they ended up actually hiring me on as a staff writer. And that was actually my first staff writer job in Hollywood. So my dad like got me the coffee meeting, but then I had to do the rest.
It's all up to you.
Yeah.
At that point. Exactly. Jonah, you are doing wonderful things, and I thank you because I'm not as outspoken, and
You should
and
be.
I'm a little nervous just because of the response I've received.
I totally understand that.
Okay, so I went strong at the beginning, and then I'm like, whoa, I don't know if I can do this.
Here's how I feel about it, if I may, just to give you a little something to think about. So,
Yeah.
I think if you post something or say something, that's bulletproof. That's just like, let's say it's like Shabbat Shalom, because you're Jewish.
Well, I will go there.
And
I will do
so
things
you'll
like
you'll
that.
be publicly Jewish and proud of it.
Publicly Jewish. You better believe it. I'm as loud and proud as they come.
Okay,
It's
to me
not
that's enough.
common-
To me that's enough. And if you get hate from that, like you don't want those people liking you. Like if you're gonna hate me for saying Shabbat Shalom, goodbye.
100%.
Okay.
Yes, I'm super open and proud and loud about that. And that's where it starts and stops. I'm very right. I don't want to get into my true feelings about what goes on there because you never know. You're going to rub somebody the wrong way, and I just want to stay away from it. But I do believe in peace, and
I hear you. I don't think not everybody needs to be a political advocate or whatever, but I do think that Jews with public platforms need to be publicly and proudly Jewish. To me, like that's everything. So there are other people who can do that other stuff.
Okay, so I get a pat on the back.
You get
I
a
do
pat
my
on the
job.
back.
Grandparents would be very pleased.
Exactly. That's right.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate you stopping by even though this is not really a stop by. We used to do these in person. And then I realized, there's technology to make things easier.
Even
I don't
easier.
know how I feel about that. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
and
much.
I wish you and your family the very best.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Thanks for having me.